The kingdom of law pulsed with life. Laughter echoed through the cobblestone streets. Children chased after mage Damon. He conjured shimmering bubbles. Damon, a young mage, thrived on the energy of his town. His fingers wove intricate patterns, summoning bursts of light. The townsfolk cheered at his every magical feat. Damon sought to bring joy to lore. Beyond the town square, the towering castle stood sentinel. Its stone walls held whispers of ancient legends. But Damon sensed a shift in the air, a subtle unease. The nights now patrolled with an uncharacteristic grimness. Evenings now held a palpable tension. The shadows lengthened, and a sense of foreboding settled. Damon couldn't shake the feeling of a growing darkness. The stories began as whispers, fragments of fear carried on the wind. Travelers spoke of creatures of the night, their eyes glowing with an unnatural hunger. Villages, once bustling with life, now lay abandoned, their streets eerily silent. Pale, gaunt figures with a thirst for blood, their touch a harbinger of death. The whispers grew louder, spreading like wildfire through the kingdom of law. Fear began to grip the hearts of the people, casting a pall over their lives. The Knights of Law rode out with renewed purpose, their swords sharpened. They patrolled the borders with vigilance, scanning the shadows for any sign of the threat. Beyond Laura's walls, nestled in a twilight valley, lay the cursed garden. Twisted trees, their branches like skeletal fingers, clawed at the sky. A thick fog, heavy with decay, clung to the earth. Whispers of its deadly beauty and malevolent force were passed down through generations. Those who ventured within rarely returned. The plants were a testament to the garden's malevolent nature. Thorns, sharp and poisonous, adorned every vine. Amidst the danger, there was a haunting beauty. Flowers of deepest crimson and midnight blue bloomed with unnatural vibrancy. The Knights of Law spoke of the garden with fear and respect.
The vampires, they grow bolder. Our defenses, once impenetrable, are now breached with alarming frequency.
The weight of the kingdom's safety pressed heavily upon Barnabas's shoulders. His armor, usually polished to a gleam, now bore the dust of countless patrols.
We need a solution, a way to strike back, to protect our people before it's too late.
Damon, his gaze fixed on the flickering flames of the hearth, nodded grimly. Hope, like a flickering candle, ignited within Barnabas's heart. The possibility of finding a safe haven was a beacon of light. He knew the risks, but the thought of Laura falling was unbearable.
The journey will be perilous.
Damon placed a reassuring hand on Barnabas's shoulder. The portal was said to be concealed within a secluded grove. Their quest, fraught with danger, was about to begin. The journey to find the portal to Evermore had begun. The air crackled with anticipation as Damon unveiled the ancient text. Its pages, brittle with age, whispered of forgotten magic, their secrets long hidden from the world. Barnabas leaned closer, his gaze drawn to the intricate diagrams and cryptic symbols that adorned the parchment.
The crystals of law said to hold the power of the dark sun and moon.
Damon murmured, his voice hushed with reverence. He pointed to an illustration depicting two orbs, one as black as night, the other shimmering with an ethereal white light.
Legend has it they possess unimaginable magic, capable of granting immense strength and protection.
These crystals, Damon explained, were not mere trinkets of power, but artifacts of law's very essence, their existence intertwined with the kingdom's fate. They were housed deep within the castle's vault, guarded day and night by the king's most trusted knights. To obtain them would be a perilous task, fraught with risk and requiring the utmost discretion. Damon, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and apprehension, traced the symbols with his fingertips. He could sense the raw power emanating from the page, the ancient magic thrumming beneath his touch. The thought of wielding such power, of harnessing it for the good of law, both exhilarated and terrified him.
But how do we retrieve them? The vault is heavily guarded, its defense is nearly impenetrable.
Damon, his gaze unwavering, met Barnabas's eyes.
We will need to be resourceful, to employ both stealth and cunning. The fate of law may very well depend on our success.
A shadow had fallen over the castle, a palpable unease that permeated even the most secluded chambers. Princess Delphinia, once known for her vibrant spirit and infectious laughter, now lay confined to her chambers, her health fading with each passing day. The court physician, his brow creased with worry, had exhausted all known remedies, his potions and poultices proving ineffective against the mysterious ailment that plagued the princess. Her skin, once radiant, now bore a ghostly pallor, her eyes, once sparkling with life, now dulled with an unknown weariness. Queen Ilara, her heart heavy with anguish, refused to leave her daughter's side. She bathed Delphi's forehead with cool cloths, whispering prayers and words of comfort, but the princess remained listless, her breaths shallow and labored. A sense of helplessness, cold and insidious, gripped the queen's heart. Whispers of a curse, dark and potent, spread through the castle like a chilling wind. Some whispered that the princess had drawn the ire of a vengeful spirit, others that she was being targeted by a magic both ancient and evil. Fear like a shroud settled over the royal court. Damon, his loyalty to the crown unwavering, saw in Delphi's plight a reflection of the darkness that threatened to engulf their kingdom. He knew that time was of the essence, that they needed to act swiftly if they were to save both the princess and Law. The journey to Evermore, once a distant hope, now took on a renewed urgency. The air crackled with energy as they approached the portal's hidden location. The ancient grove, shrouded in mist, pulsed with a life force both alluring and terrifying.
The portal's close, I can feel it.
The portal shimmered before them, its edges crackling with raw energy. Damon took a deep breath and stepped forward. As they crossed the threshold, a wave of disorientation washed over them, a dizzying dance of light and shadow.
Hold on, stay together.
Then the disorientation passed, and they found themselves standing on solid ground, the portal shimmering behind them. Evermore. The name echoed in their minds, a whisper from a forgotten dream. The landscape before them bore little resemblance to their beloved Law. Towering trees, their bark a tapestry of vibrant greens and blues, reached towards the sky, their branches intertwined in a leafy embrace that filtered the sunlight into a mosaic of light and shadow. The air, thick with the scent of unfamiliar flowers and the sound of unseen creatures, hummed with a strange energy, both invigorating and unsettling. Damon, his senses on high alert, could feel the magic of this new realm thrumming beneath his feet, a symphony of power both alluring and daunting. But as they ventured deeper into Evermore's, the world dissolved into a swirling vortex of white. Damon staggered, his senses reeling, the dark sun and moon crystals heavy in his grasp. He reached out, his fingers brushing against Barnabas's armored shoulder.
Stay close.
The fog pressed in, a suffocating blanket that seemed to seep into their very minds. Damon struggled to recall the purpose of their journey. And the princess, her hand clutching his arm. Why did her touch send shivers down his spine?
Where are we? What is this place?
Damon had no answers, only a growing sense of dread. They would find their way, he vowed silently, even if it meant facing the unknown with nothing but their instincts to guide them.
Did you see that in the crystal?
The first flicker of memory came as a whisper, a fleeting image that danced just out of reach. Damon stopped, his breath catching in his throat, his gaze drawn to the dark sun crystal clutched in his hand. It pulsed with a faint, ethereal glow, illuminating a swirling pattern within its depths. He stared, mesmerized, as the pattern shifted and morphed, resolving into a scene both familiar and strange. Damon's heart ached with a longing he couldn't quite place. Who was that mage? He looked up, his gaze sweeping over his companions.
Did you see that in the crystal?
Damon nodded, relief flooding through him. They weren't alone in this fog of forgetfulness.
We need to keep moving. The fog is lifting, but we're not out of danger yet.
What in Law's name?
The fog parted, revealing a whimsical cottage made of gingerbread and candy. The air hung heavy with the scent of sugar and spice. The princess stirred, her eyes fluttering open.
Pretty.
A figure emerged from the cottage, features obscured by a wide-brimmed hat.
Welcome, travelers. You look weary. Come, rest yourselves.
Damon exchanged a wary glance with Damien. The Tosha's cottage seemed like a haven, but Damon felt it was a trap. The Tosha's cottage was a sensory overload, a chaotic jumble of colors, textures, and scents. Walls lined with shelves overflowed with bizarre toys and trinkets. The air hummed with a faint, discordant melody, its source hidden amongst the clutter. Damon couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The Tosha, perched on a stool fashioned from a giant toadstool, gestured towards a table laden with sweets.
Eat, drink, be merry. You are guests in my humble abode.
Damon's stomach churned, his instincts screaming at him to refuse. Something about the Tosha's hospitality felt inherently wrong. Barnabas, swayed by exhaustion and the aroma of sugar, reached for a candied apple.
We don't know what this creature is capable of.
The Tosha chuckled, the sound like dry leaves skittering across cobblestones.
How quick you are to judge, young mage. Can a simple act of hospitality be so easily misconstrued?
We're not here for hospitality, we seek knowledge, answers.
The Tosha's grin widened, revealing rows of pointed teeth.
All in good time, dear knight. For now, why don't you indulge in a game?
Damon's gut twisted with dread. The Tosha's game, he suspected, was not one they could afford to lose. The Tosha's game was a cruel mockery of their past. It conjured vivid illusions, disorienting them, forcing them to relive fragmented memories. Damon saw Laura, his hometown, distorted and warped. Faces of friends and neighbors contorted in fear. Glowing red eyes watched, waiting.
Remember, your past defines you.
Damon stumbled, head spinning. He clutched the dark sun crystal.
We remember who we are. We are knights of law, sworn to protect.
The Tosha's magic couldn't touch their core.
You cannot break us. We are bound by oath stronger than any magic.
The Tosha, enraged by their defiance, unleashed the full force of its magic. The gingerbread cottage warped and twisted, its candy decorations transforming into grotesque shapes. Gingerbread men, their smiles replaced with snarling fangs, sprang to life. Damon and Barnabas fought back to back, their swords flashing in the candlelight. The Tosha's magic was relentless, each wave of gingerbread warriors more grotesque.
We can't hold them off forever.
The princess, her eyes glowing, stepped forward. She whispered a word, and the air crackled in response. Spiders poured from the shadows, swarming over the gingerbread men.
Grim, what happened?
Grim stumbled back, clutching at his chest. A single green thorn protruded from his chest. He collapsed, his breath coming in ragged gasps.
Thorn guarded muscle worn.
Gwen cradled his head, her tears falling silently. He had sacrificed himself to protect them. The cursed garden was where they needed to be. The Tosha, its power waning, vanished with a shriek, its laughter echoing through the ruined cottage. The gingerbread house, its magic dispelled, crumbled. Damon, his heart heavy, knelt beside Grim's body. He had respected Grim's strength and loyalty. Grim's death fueled Damon's determination to break the curse.
He sacrificed himself to warn us.
The garden. The thorns hold the key.
Damon looked at her, his brow furrowed. Grim's dying words swirled in his mind.
He said we had to warn the others.
The others? What others?
The refugees, they're lost, scattered.
They all understood the danger. The refugees were easy prey for the Tosha. A single black rose bloomed amidst the ruins. Black roses, the symbol of the Order of the Black Rose. Damon gripped the dark sun crystal, its cool surface a source of comfort. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but they would face it together. The journey to the cursed garden had begun. The end. The air crackled with tension as they stood before the cursed garden. The path was choked with thorny vines and gnarled branches.
Grim knew this path. He led us here.
She touched the black rose emblem on her armor.
He wouldn't want us to hesitate.
Damon nodded grimly. Grim's sacrifice had bought them time.
The oath binds us.
He drew his sword.
For lore. S2 for lore.
For lore, S5, for lore.
Damon felt a surge of resolve. They were knights, mages, protectors. He closed his eyes, focusing his will. A shimmering sphere of light blossomed around them. Thorns recoiled, their movements sluggish. Damon kept the spell anchored.
Let's move. The Tosha won't wait forever.
The cursed garden was a labyrinth of twisted pathways. Thorns reached out like grasping claws. Damon maintained the protective sphere of light. They moved cautiously, their senses on high alert. The air grew thicker, the scent of decay intensifying. Damon's skin prickled with unease. He could feel eyes on them, watching from the shadows. The Tosha was toying with them, herding them deeper. The path opened into a clearing. Dozens of figures stood frozen amidst a grove of black trees. Their eyes, wide and vacant, stared sightlessly ahead. Damon recognized them. Knights, townsfolk, and children, their faces twisted in silent screams.
The refugees, the Tosha, it's using them.
Damon felt a surge of anger. The Tosha had taken so much from them. He drew strength from the anger, channeling it into his magic. The sphere of light pulsed, its glow intensifying.
We have to help them. We have to break the curse.
They pressed onward, their hearts heavy with determination. The air crackled with raw energy as they approached the heart of the garden. The towering tree at its center pulsed with an eerie green light. Damon could feel the power emanating from the tree. It was the source of the garden's corruption.
The thorns hold the key.
Damon studied the tree. He recalled Grimm's dying words.
He said we had to warn the others.
Damon reached out, his fingers brushing against a thorn. A jolt of energy shot up his arm and a vision flashed before his eyes. The thorns were a gateway, a bridge between realms. The Tosha had harnessed their power. Damon staggered back, his head spinning. Destroying the tree would sever the connection between realms. But there had to be another way.
The thorns hold the key. We're going to heal them.
He didn't have all the answers, but he had a plan. With the oath echoing in his heart, he would face the Tosha. He would fight for the chance to restore balance. The end. Lore basked in the warmth of a newly restored sun. The curse was broken, but victory had come at a price. Scars, both physical and emotional, lingered. Damon felt the weight of those sacrifices keenly. Grimm's death had paved the path to their victory. He had learned much on this journey. Power, wielded without understanding, could corrupt. The Tosha's hunger for control had twisted its magic. The portal shimmered before him, a gateway back to Evermore. He had made allies there, friends who had fought alongside them. Evermore held its own challenges. He thought of the princess, her power a burden.
You're going back, aren't you?
Barnabas's voice broke through Damon's thoughts.
There's still work to be done. The Tosha might be gone, but its magic lingers. There are others like it out there, creatures of shadow and malice waiting for their chance.
The end.
You've done more than anyone could ask, Damon. You saved our kingdom, our people. Don't carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. There's still good in this world, magic worth fighting for.
Barnabas placed a hand on Damon's shoulder. Damon met his friend's gaze, drawing strength from his support. Barnabas was right. He couldn't let the darkness consume him. There was still magic to be found in the world. He thought of the black roses, a symbol of resilience. The Order of the Black Rose represented a force for good. He took a deep breath and turned towards the portal.
I'll be back. Lore will always be my home.
He stepped through the shimmering gateway. The world resolved into the familiar landscape of Evermore. The air hummed with a different kind of magic. He had a role to play in this realm. He would fight for balance and understanding. As he set off into the unknown, the memory of Lore fueled his determination. The end.